Welcome to the Psanctuary Podcast, where ancient wisdom has a modern awakening. For thousands of years, psilocybin has been used as a sacrament. At Psanctuary, we're reclaiming that right, honoring the roots while rethinking religion for a modern world. If you've been looking for something real and something psychedelic, well, you've just found your people. Come on in. For those listening, Jeff and I sat down. I don't know, was Courtney part of that first interview that we did? No, so it's just me and Jeff. We did an interview on the Psilocybin Says show, which I will post a link to that in the show notes and the comments here. Because I would strongly encourage you to go back to listen to Jeff's full story. We're not going to go into his incredible accident too much. We went into some pretty good detail on that conversation, but it is foundational to who he is and how he got here, as well as military career. But a lot of that we went into in significant depth in the previous episode, and now we're here, man, like what, 3 years later, seems like, must be, and you know, we'll be talking about a lot of the stuff that I sent questions over. But as I was reflecting on this, you know, this episode is going to come out as part of our origin story series, and I don't know that I've expressed this to you, how much not just I consider, but like in actuality you are an part of the origin of the seminary specifically. You know, you went through, I think you were in that first cohort, and, you know, obviously you've been continuing to participate in those and contribute really meaningfully to those. So it just struck me as I was sitting this that what a foundational role you play in this ministership that is expanded out to over 200 people now. But before we get into all that, do kind of give our audience just an intro to how you were introduced to sacred mushrooms.
Introduction to psychedelics, early youth, fast forward past all that. That was all fun. Growing up, experimenting, finding sacred mushrooms, finding about 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, I was just in a really bad place. I had been through a pretty big injury. I had found a huge release in competing in strongman, which is what I was injured from. Lost the ability to go to the gym, to work out, and what it had been doing for me was like therapy. It was helping me to have better relationships, to increase peace in my life, and to just feel like what I felt like was just living a better life. Really. Doing better in my eyes. I lost that, and I got really worried. I felt myself start to slip backwards, falling into old patterns of anger and frustration, not having an outlet for them, not knowing what to do. I started to do some research. Long story short, I found my way into some articles about moms microdosing mushrooms therapeutically. I read some articles about some PTSD trials. So I thought, why not? I'd tried medication, I tried drinking, I tried all the other things in life that didn't work, and then I found something that was productive for me, yet now I had lost this. So I knew my life was going to change. It was going to continue to change. I knew that I was happier being that better version of myself that it allowed me to create in the gym. So I just had to find a different way. So I ended up microdosing They started to work very well.
How'd you get a hold of mushrooms first time?
I just knew somebody that had some mushrooms, and I was like, okay, I did this when I was a kid. This is obviously running around laughing, running from house to house, going and hanging out with different people is not what this is going to be about. But I had no clue as to how much I would be affected by not only the microdosing, but the 1 or 2 times that I had a little bit larger of a dose. And that's where things became sacred with the mushrooms for me. That's where I ended up having a little bit larger of an experience, about a 3-gram dose. And I ended up, my spirituality was reawakened.
So what led you to take a higher than a microdose?
Well, I knew that, so I had read a lot about, like I said, mom's microdosing out in California, and so the microdosing was there. But I was reading about these trials. I was reading about retreats. I was reading about, the dosages that they were giving there. And I was like, well, maybe I'm not good with a 6, 7, heroic dose, whatever they're calling, but I feel comfortable down in this lower range. So I had done a dose at around 2 grams. I found myself in a really uncomfortable place, and I had remembered from my youth that the more that I ate, the less I felt any of that discomfort. So I was like, I'll just eat another gram, right? So then I ate another gram, and I was like, oh man, the trees are talking to me, and the earth is breathing, and I'm seeing these vibrations. I'm feeling this energy. I'm being overwhelmed by this feeling that I could only recognize then as something that it wasn't happening to me then. It was that I was unlocking or breaking down a barrier that was allowing me to feel this way, to be this way, to have this connection with what I was feeling was more than me, right? So more than me means that I'm a very I'm the type of person, I'm gonna break it down, I'm gonna analyze it, I'm going to try to make sense, try to make it make
you're an
sense,
engineer, right? By trade,
So,
that's your training, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to do my best to come up with a reasoning for why this happened. So then I think, okay, well, maybe it's just the mushrooms. But what really happened there was that awakening to more than myself, a connection to everything. And I had this knowing that I had been wrong about spirituality, that I had thought that I wasn't, it wasn't that I was wrong about where I come from, like with God, with the Southern Baptist way that was taught to me. I wasn't wrong about that, but I was wrong about a creator. I was wrong about...
Hold on. What do you mean you weren't wrong about the Southern Baptist?
No. I wasn't wrong about that, thinking that wasn't the way.
Oh, yeah. Because you rejected...
I rejected that real
Right.
early.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't wrong for that, even though I was made to feel wrong
right.
for that.
Okay, gotcha.
And I was really I was contemplating this on the way over because, I had these questions to think about. And I was thinking about the idea that I never had a place to explore what I truly felt. All I really was able to voice was that I didn't believe the way that it was, but never to explore what I really thought it was, because it was just that way or there was no way, or at least that was the understanding that I had been programmed with. But it was a strong enough belief that it was a strong enough knowing, I guess, then, that I didn't believe in their belief. That I wasn't afraid of their hell. That it doesn't make sense. It didn't make sense to me then.
When did you stop going to their church, or when
when I was about 15, 16.
When you could you could decide on your own.
When I could decide on my own, or when I could be taken to church because I had to go to the parking lot and get in the car with somebody and leave church and go somewhere else, till I could just make my own decisions.
I will never forget the day I sat in Long John Silver's on a Sunday, the first day I ever missed Catholic Mass, and I thought, I'm going to hell for a fish sandwich.
It was a good fish sandwich, wasn't it?
Was a good,
It was a damn good fish
even
sandwich.
better was the weed we smoked afterwards.
Right? Yeah. Well, I was going to say that, we'd go get in the car and smoke weed, leave, show back up about 10 minutes before church was out. Yeah. How was it? Oh, it was great. I loved it. Yeah. Are we going to eat? I'm hungry. That's the type of, but yeah. So yeah, I really stopped, I don't know, I think, early on, I don't know, probably about 10, 11, I started to question. And it wasn't so much that I wouldn't get answers to the questions that I would ask. It was that I would get shut down on the questions.
Oh, you're questioning like the priests and stuff.
Yeah, I'm questioning. Well, yeah, I'm questioning my Sunday school teacher, and they don't have the answer. So we go to the pastor, or we go to a deacon, or we go to, and they don't have the answer.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just like, this just is the way that it is, and this is just what. And I'm like, that just don't work for me, man. Like y'all got all the other answers, and even at like 10, 11, 12 years old, you have the answer. Everybody else is wrong. But you can't tell me about it. I'm confused, like how, blind faith was a problem for me. What I understand now is not a faith at all. It's a knowing. It's, I can't express to you in the language that we have everything that it means or what it is and how I know that it's true, and it's fine that I can't prove that. I still know it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely makes sense. And I guess I'm finding myself really curious how that unfolded in real time. Were you in the experience and you're like, oh fuck, I had it wrong all along? Or was it like after the experience and kind of a integration reflection?
In the experience, it was oh shit moment. Oh man. No way. like kind of like, it's like, I don't know. In the mushroom space, the way that it works for me in my experiences is it's like I'll have these downloads, these understandings, these reintroductions almost to information that I already know. Mm-hmm. And it's like the same feeling when you've read a book and you go to read it again, and you're not reading it for the first time. Mm-hmm. If I read the chapter yesterday and I read the chapter today, then I already know what's coming. And it's like, as the information's coming, I already know what's coming next before I'm receiving the rest of the information. I don't have to worry about, is the rest of the information coming or is it complete? Because all it took was like a piece of it to ignite what I already know inside. So I think that's kind of the same way that it happened for me that day. Like it was like a lot of understanding and grace and empathy with myself for being wrong. Like it wasn't so much of a like, oh, I've been wrong and now, oh shit, what am I gonna do? It was just like, now I know. I can live differently. I can feel differently. I can be and when I say live differently, not really like with intention towards other people, but with intention towards what I'm feeling, like really leaning into all the things that I've shut off, that I knew I had a connection to spirituality. I knew I had a connection to the earth, to trees, to the mountains, rivers, water, like just this connection to all of it. And it was never nurtured. So as I grew as a child, it just faded and faded more and more. I would find myself in moments, but not how it used to be when I was a child, entranced by like I loved being in the woods. I loved being in trees. I loved climbing and playing, and man, my feet in the mud, and just there were so many things. Like I love to be outside in the rain and play, and I was thinking about it on the drive here, where it's just kind of gloomy looking today. And you know, at first thought I was like, oh man, it's kind of gloomy, and I was like, no, it's not. It's just as beautiful today as it was when the sun took place of all the things that are going on right now. Yesterday, it's just as beautiful. It's just I've been conditioned to think that this is not beautiful. This I should be outside in this. I should be getting rained on. I should be feeling this experience, not driving in a car, going in a comfort. Does that make
Oh yeah.
And so I think that was really awakened, and then it really ignited a huge, that huge question inside myself. Well, if I was wrong about this one, which one is it? Right. And then still not listening to myself. So that was ignited that day, but not learning how to listen to myself, not learning how to. So conditioning still playing such a role, as in someone else needs to teach me what this means, or someone else has the answer. Yeah. So that was ignited that day, but it was definitely the understanding of there's a creator. I don't think that was the way, and I was right in thinking that wasn't the way, but now I have this understanding, this knowledge that I don't know where it came from, of knowing that there is a creator, and that creator is love. And then I've been working with that for the past 3 years about, I struggled a lot with the ideas that we were taught about judgment and about what love means. And we've been in circles and discussed, love and how that works. And like, even understanding that I could never fathom the things that we question here, the things that we don't understand. I could never fathom what level of love that is in this form of what the Creator has created, and see it from those eyes, because I'm not in that form right now. I'll go back. I mean, the Creator's in us all. It's all part of each one of us. We will go back. But yeah, I just had such a different understanding, even that day, but it was just aware. And that's what intrigued me to find Psanctuary. That's what intrigued me to find something to nurture the spirituality that I felt awakened. Well, if somebody else found spirituality on mushrooms, it's got to be on fucking Google, right? So let me Google that shit. Let me get on Google and let me find it. And like I said, or like I've told you before, Psanctuary just popped up and happened to be right in my backyard, like right here in Louisville. So for me, it was a no-brainer to just check it out and see what it was about.
It would have taken me 6 months.
I mean, it took a while.
I would not. I was like first person. If I saw Sanctuary, a psychedelic church, 3 years ago, I'd be like, yeah.
I told my wife. I told Silver. I was like, I've been looking at this mushroom cult. I don't really know what it's all about. But she's like, I was like, all I know is, I mean, I'll be honest. Back then, it was like, it wasn't. We had the conversation about sincerity last night. So it was about a way of, if this was to get me in trouble, if I was to get in trouble for this, how could I prove that I'm doing this for therapy? Wouldn't work because I couldn't get into, there's no psilocybin studies in our state. And you have to live in the state where the study's happening to be able to apply for the study, unless it's a VA study, and the VA wasn't open to it back then. They were discussing it. So I think that the only way. Sorry, I lost myself. I looked at this tree on this painting over here, and I just kind of lost myself. But
you're talking about the protection and.
Oh yeah. The only way that I felt comfortable coming into Psanctuary was knowing that I had a logical reason for coming into Psanctuary. And then it was like the secondary reason was it's a spiritual community. Let me explore this and see what it's about. Like I said, this was something that I had shut off. I'd been around judgmental, God-loving people. I'd had enough of that, honestly.
Well, I'm curious, like, with as you started to awaken to spirituality, like, did you communicate this to your wife quickly, or was this something that you started, like, slowly started to speak to?
As far as I remember, I came out of that experience, and I was like, something's different inside of me. Something knows that I was wrong thinking that there was nothing. But I didn't have a good understanding. It's not like I could be like, oh, this is Ignite. I didn't understand later that this is what was awoken inside of me. I didn't know. I was just processing my experience,
right?
And I didn't have anyone to process my experience with then, other than my therapist, which was every 2 weeks, which was amazing because I'd worked with my therapist for about a year, and then I started microdosing, and I talked to her every 2 weeks, and we would have a conversation, then we'd have another like 2 weeks would go by, 2 weeks. In 3 months, she stopped me in the middle of one of our conversations, and she said, look, I don't care what you're doing. I don't care how you're doing it. But in the past 90 days, you've made more progress than you have in the whole last year that I've known you, and what I'm assuming in the last. So can we talk about what you're doing outside of here?
Are you seeing someone else?
And I was like, this is a VA therapist. So I'm like, oh shit, what am I? So I just took a chance, and I was like, I've been eating mushrooms, and like without any hesitation, she was like, that's fucking amazing. I can't tell you to do that or that you should continue to do that, but if you do continue to do that, I would love to continue to talk to you every 2 weeks about it if that's what you would like to do. So that's what we did, and we changed my entire regimen of PTSD therapy, and I spent 2 years with a PTSD therapist after every 2 weeks walking through not using the EMDR, not using any of the traditional methods, but just she would give me things to think about, or we would open up, she would do like a little guided meditation and bring up certain instances that I had told her about, and then we would just go into things that came up. We would start to talk about them. I would journal in my 2 weeks. I would microdose in my 2 weeks, and then we would come back and we would have conversations about that. It would just start to open up more and more conversation, and it wasn't about getting to it through a specific way. It was just about finding the things that I thought needed to be healed, and then moving from the things that I thought needed to be healed into what's coming up for me. And then have we really gone in, and so it was a progression over 2 years. I ended up losing her. She had to move. But it was so beneficial to have that from a therapeutic side, to be so open and honest, to know that just to know that my therapist knew what I was doing created such a safe space. Like, it blows my mind that we're not using therapy in this capacity with mushrooms, with not them administering, but just creating more spaces, more therapeutic opportunities with sometimes I don't even like to say the guidance of the therapist, but just really creating that space, creating the opportunity to talk, to hear other people talk. It wasn't what she said, it was all the things I said.
Well, that's where I'd love it if we kind of get into the intersect of the therapeutic world and the spiritual world. And you're such a great kind of case study, because you came to this initially from a therapeutic perspective. You had spiritual experiences and are experiencing therapeutic benefit from that. So I'm just curious how you see the role that spirituality is playing, if at all, in the progress within your mental health.
Well, I think I wouldn't say I think, I know that being more spiritually aligned, being more in tune, more in tune with who I am, in my spirit, helps to understand and have grace and compassion for my body. So just from that standpoint alone, loving myself versus therapy hating myself is much different. And loving myself has nothing to do with the therapy. It has all to do with my understanding of spirituality, my understanding of now who I am versus who I thought I was. Or when I say that, I guess that's a difficult conversation too, man. So I saw the intriguing look in your eyes. I'm like, that could take a long time. So who I am now, being that version of me, not only being changed because spiritually, I'm trying to think what's the word that I want to use. Not spiritual, but intellectually, in my human, I'm thinking differently because of my spirituality. I am being a better person, not only to myself, but outside externally, because of my spirituality, because of that love, that it's loving you and loving what I see of me in you. It's loving everyone else because there's me in everybody else, because I love me. I love me, so I love you. And a lot of people, I tell a lot of people that I love them, and a lot of people look at me funny, and a lot of people question it, and that's cool. I don't care, because I love what I see of me and you. I love you too, and all of it, and it's hard to explain and put into words, but like, so from that wasn't there without the spirituality. So I didn't like myself. I not only, there were parts of me I hated, there were parts of me that I could not heal because I didn't love them. And so my human, that therapy side was almost impossible on some of this for me, because I hadn't, it's two different paths, it's two different sides, it's internal, right? It's I can heal this all day long, but this is what was wounded. And this projects onto that, right? So if I'm projecting that love onto that perception of how we're going through therapy now, it's much different. You know, and I had participated in therapy, but I had never done it from this perception. I had never done it from the idea of, oh, I sat down and I checked all the blocks, but I didn't do therapy. I didn't go through the process of working through the things, because it was like the mushroom. So many people think that if I eat the mushroom, this is just going to make me better. This is just going to make me better. Well, good luck. I mean, it may, you know, there are some people that benefit from it like that, but that's not how it works for me, you know, and that's not how any of that has worked for me. It's been a progression. So
I don't like, it feels so important to speak into this a little bit more, and at the same time it feels like it could be polarizing a bit. And why I say that is because there is this kind of general perception that mushrooms are a therapy, that if I take a mushroom, I'll be better afterwards. There is this general, I think, perception in our society that if I go to a therapist and just talk about my problems, I'll feel better. Maybe get some CBT or DBT or some other tools and techniques. But it feels like we are leaving out this really important conversation about spiritual discipline. And even in the spiritual communities where you see no discipline, and it's just kind of like, spiritual bypassing, call it that, it's the same thing or very similar outcomes as if you were to go to therapy and not have spirituality. And it's like not trying to convince anyone of anything, but to really just provide an opportunity for people to understand how important spirituality, disciplined spiritual practice is in our personal growth journey. And I just wonder, you coming out of Southern Baptist Church and, obviously my Catholic upbringing, I wonder, how can we shift this conversation in our society where we can heal some of the damage that's been done by institutionalized religion and bring people back into some kind of personal, direct experience with the divine that is consciously integrated into daily life. And I just I don't know, how do you imagine that conversation evolving on a national cultural level? Do you see psychedelics playing a role in that, the evolution of that conversation? Does that make sense, what I'm asking?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really, really interesting question. I like I like it. I think that first off, coming from the idea of how, I guess I can only speak from my own experience. So, coming from the way that I was raised, looking at my trauma, let's look at it from a therapeutic standpoint. We'll have the conversation from a therapeutic standpoint. So from a therapeutic standpoint, I was in a home where I was taught a specific way. I learned this is what's acceptable. This is the way that we believe. I was programmed. So what happened in that programming and what happened in that environment was religious trauma, spiritual trauma. So from a very early age, some of the first trauma that I experienced that trauma through manipulation, through control, through fear. So from a therapeutic standpoint, how do I get back to heal all of that when I know I've stacked all of this other life trauma on top of it? So the idea that I could heal the things after it without coming back to the attachment of what some of my biggest trauma was, it changed my whole perception from everything moving forward out of that. So even the idea of the way that I thought about myself, the way that I thought about all the things that I interacted with, all of the other things the idea of the reflection of who I built of myself was created in those years, where this huge amount of programming for this fear of hell, this control of this God, this control of people by, if you don't want to do that, you don't want to be that type of person, no, really, my spirit wants to check these things out. It wants to look at these things. I want to watch MTV and I want to know what it's about, and I want to go and I want to do these things. Oh no, those are bad things. We can't do those things. Make you a bad person. Those things, so much fucking control, right? So, from a therapeutic standpoint, how do I get to where I feel now to share that with other people? And so to say, what I said earlier. How do I get to where I'm coming from a place of where if I could separate myself inside myself and I could say, okay, here's all the human portions of me and here's my spirit portion. This is what's projecting that love. How can I teach that? Or how can we share that? How could you spread that to the world or our country? How could we change things that way? And if you could heal that inside and we could learn that it doesn't have, I mean, here's the thing, is that psychedelics, mushrooms, I've seen plenty of other people take them and they not awaken that part. So it's not a guarantee. But I do find that for me, it blew the door open and it created a place of healing within myself, or at least an understanding of forgiveness to myself for holding myself in that light in my own eyes, right? Like judging myself this way for kicking against this so hard, for not believing this way, for not doing this, this is a little off subject, but it's just what's coming up at the moment. But like, man, what about when you realize that you don't believe the way that all the people in your life that have taught you all the things in life, you don't believe that way, and you can see through it, and then you realize that all the people that have taught you everything your whole life can't see through it, and then like, how do I believe anything else that you have? How can I trust anything? Like what a crazy feeling. But yeah, I think so. Coming from that, go back to the therapeutic standpoint onto the spirituality. I think that more experiences, more opportunities to help heal religious trauma, even moral injury. Like, I didn't understand what moral injury was, but understanding, it goes really hand in hand with religious trauma or spiritual trauma, because in my instance, my moral injury was, for years, I continued to try to believe something that I knew I didn't believe. I tried to convince myself of their way being the right way. I tried to, until I was finally old enough to that 10, 11, starting to have those questions, not trusting myself, still trusting the other people, still listening to the other.
How do you see it as moral injury, though?
Well, because I was believing in a way that I knew I didn't believe. I was trying to, I think it was just the beginning of I don't know if that makes sense or not.
I think I'm still wrapping my head around the concept of moral injury. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, moral injury is really from a place where, so a good for instance is in the military I experienced being part of a crew or a team, and one of the team members doing something that was ethically and morally wrong and causing harm to another human with no intention and purpose other than intentionally causing harm. And I was afraid of retaliation for speaking up. I was afraid of doing the right thing. And that's what is considered to be like a moral injury. So like, I believed differently. I felt it differently inside. I knew that I should have done the right thing, and instead I shut myself down, and I let a situation let me go against my beliefs. I let it let me go against my morals on the inside.
Okay. So I can see.
And then
go ahead.
Afraid of retaliation, afraid for my own safety, and then like it continued to create that injury by being around those people, by continuing to be with them every day. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and so I can see that in the context of a child, like it being an unconscious moral injury of for a child to go against their internal belief system.
Right.
Okay.
So it was like the beginning of that, where what I'm trying to understand, I'm being shut down on. And then when I'm being shut down, I'm like, I don't really know if this isn't really making much, but I'm so afraid to go to hell. I'm so afraid of all the things, all the fear that you've put into me, all the things. I'm letting fear make the judgment instead of what I truly believe, what I truly think is right. Yeah. So I think, starting from things like that, then getting into the religious trauma, because it's like, okay, well, let's start with where things started to go wrong. Or maybe you have people that are atheists that's never had any introduction to spirituality. So I'm not sure how you would start into that through religious or spiritual trauma with them to get there, but I feel like there's probably some things to explore in that conversation with at least how they got to the opinion of what they got to and how they feel maybe post psychedelics or mushroom, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm not, but I think for those who are willing to look at it from the idea of spirit or creator, or that we are more than just this human form, then I think it's a great conversation to get the therapeutic side started, is to be able to see the difference from a that'd be hard. I mean, a spiritually sound person, a spiritually and I think you would find that through happiness or like the fruits of life, right? And that's where I think that comes from, that whole projecting that love. Like, I love my human. My human is crazy. Sometimes he wants some weird shit. Sometimes he likes some weird shit. And sometimes I don't always agree with it. I feel like it's weird to speak about me from this way, but then
love
again,
how you've
I
been doing
feel
this,
how
though,
it's. But it I'll be honest, since my last journey, it doesn't seem that abnormal at all.
Well, then
it
I
feels
feel like
so normal.
It's helping me. Like, hearing you speak in those terms is helping me conceptualize similarly that I'm a spirit first. And like, we say that, but our language and our life experience doesn't provide us that perspective. So when you start to speak like this, which this is a great example, I feel like, of where I've been hoping and suspecting and in ways seeing that psychedelic exploration is helping to provide us with a different language, a different way of speaking about our experience that becomes a more authentic. You've mentioned the creator a couple of times, and I've never had this conversation with anybody yet on any recorded interviews, and it's something that even myself, I'm just in the last year coming back into a working relationship with this understanding of a creator. It's something that I pushed away for so very long, and again, still reconfiguring my relationship to the concept. But I'd love if you could talk about, to the extent that you can, your understanding and your relationship with a creator. Or I know that wasn't one of the questions on the list. When you said that, I'm just like...
So, my understanding of the creator is always changing.
I love that.
Always changing. So to try to put a definition to it is... the creator is everything. The creator is the air that I'm breathing that's keeping me alive. It's the water that's moving the blood through my body. It's the trees. It's the earth. It's the creator is everything. The creator is everything here, experiencing itself as itself from all of these different versions, all right now. Um, yeah, I think that's probably the best that I could define it at this point. And what was the other part?
Your
My
relationship.
relationship. Oh man, so constantly changing as well, constantly evolving. What I can say is that it's constantly evolving in a bigger and bigger and bigger fashion, um, which is amazing. Um, so my relationship with the Creator now is my understanding, is that I'm gonna go back home, and it's not home. I'm going back to the Creator. Um, I'm not sure in this form what all I get to take back, because a lot of this form will stay. So that I'm not sure about. But yeah. So uh, my relationship to the Creator begins with my relationship to the earth. But really begins with the relationship to myself, to my spirit. And what my spirit has been yearning and longing for is more connection to the earth, more connection to ritual. And I say that as something that I've been increasing over the last just couple weeks. I'm noticing that the time that I spend with nature is like walking with the Creator, going with my animals, my pets, being outside, is is part of my relationship with the Creator. Being with other humans is part of my relationship with the Creator. My everyday walk is just a constant existence. It's like thinking, before I thought, oh man, God's watching me. Hang on, I gotta like talk to God for a minute. But like now, the creator, the Creator is with me at all times, at all moments, in my hard times, in my good times, in my easy times when I'm hurting. My Creator is always here with me in this moment, and I never have to do anything but think. All I have to do is think and think, and whatever I want, I'm in communion with creation. What I see in front of me is just expressions of the Creator. And then, like we were talking earlier, I see that same Creator is you, and that same Creator is me, and I love me, and I love that Creator in you. I love you. I love that part. Your expression of who you are. I think that it's really weird to find a definition of, or to find a way to define that I love you, but I might not like what you're doing or how you're acting. But none of that changes the fact that my core principle for you is love.
Well, I wanted to ask that was.
And like,
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to dig into that a little bit, even before you said it. How does that? How do you relate to that unconditional love when it's people that you don't like? I know, you and I spent plaything
Yeah.
acknowledging our judgmental ways.
Right. Well, I mean, the first thing is acknowledgement, right? It's like, like we have to be aware that first off, we have to be aware, like, oh, man, here we go with that spirit and human. There you go, acting fucking funny again, bro. But I can see. So am I the judgment? No, because I can witness that I'm being judgmental. So I'm not the judgment. So why am I being judgmental? This is not who we want to be. So it starts with awareness, right? Like that. But say the question one more time. Sorry.
How you apply or relate this unconditional love when it comes to people you don't really like?
Well, so...
Or social conditions that you don't like.
Right. So I think that it starts with... it's going to start with how I approach it, right? We have the awareness of how you feel, right? But then what type of control do you have over your human? You know, what type of an emotional response are you going to have to this? Because if I don't like you, or I don't like what you're doing, it's not that I love you. I just don't like how you're acting. I just don't like what you're doing. I don't, and it's not so much that I don't like it as much as what I understand now as it's not in alignment. So like is judgment. In alignment is recognition, right? So because we're not in alignment, I recognize that I have to see things a little bit differently. I don't like what you're doing is judgment, which is coming from my human, right? But my spirit's what's not in alignment. My human is the reaction.
Damn.
So, yeah, I think that as that evolves in you, right? Because it all starts here and moves out. So as that evolves inside of you, because it's going to change each scenario and situation that you have, you're going to get better at being around it. It's going to strengthen inside of you. But approaching those situations can be triggering. So I think it's very important to honor. Don't just ignore, right? So yes, we know that I didn't like this, but even though I was trying to deal with this, I was still triggered. So let me go back into this trigger a little bit, and I have to honor that part of me, and it has nowhere to do with this person or with what that is. That's back here on me. Do I sit with myself and keep myself honest with myself and say, okay, I'm gonna, because this is past now, but do I take this over here and work on it so that the next time? Because if not, I'm going to get triggered again. It's going to happen again.
This is something I have seen you grow so much in, and it's something that so many of us, self included, still have a long way to go. Is recognizing that our triggers are our responsibility. And I wonder if you could talk more about this. Like, even coming from this perspective of it all starts within here, in terms of loving ourselves. Like, it sounds like a component of this.
Yeah. So, for me on my journey, I kept coming back. It's like I would find these great moments, these great times where I would live weeks or days or maybe even a month or two, and I would feel so at peace and so at ease, and everything would be great. And then something small would happen that would trigger me, and I had been working on, like, I had been so used to the things that I was working on within myself being my triggers, right? That I didn't have time to recognize all the other triggers that were coming at me from other places. What I thought is that I was going to walk through my trauma and I was going to work on healing myself. And then when I was done with that I was going to be fucking great. I thought this was going to be cool. We were going to, like I said, 2 years, 3 years worth of work. Yeah, I can see an end. This is good. Let's do this. We're going to do this. And then I found myself in a place where I'm like, oh, okay. You're working on you, but what happens when you get triggered when you're working on you, but you're getting triggered by external things, external factors? How does that work? What I kept noticing was how much of a control it had on my life, how much it could change the way that I was feeling love and acceptance, and I was feeling all these good emotions, like I was receiving things from other people. When I say receiving, I mean like just good communication, good experiences with other people, and I think it only took like a small thing to trigger it, and that would be taken away. And then I would notice, man, well, I want to do this. Fuck, I can't do this, or I can't, so I really started to understand from a standpoint internally that if I don't deal with what it is, then I can't get past it the next time. So the next time you come up or someone else comes up that and you trigger me or they trigger me, they're growing and I am staying the same. Even I can't allow you to present yourself as a different version of yourself, which is what I should be doing every time I meet you. But I can't do that because I'm still stuck on you're the version that triggered me back then. And I think that you're the problem, that you need to fix something. But yet, what are you going to fix? You don't even know how you're fucking triggered. I haven't even had a conversation with you to tell you how you're triggering me. And that evolved later into what we've discussed about the stories, right? The stories that I'm telling myself. The idea that I'm telling myself that this is this version of you. I'm creating this version of you in my head. And then it creates a space where now I'm triggered just by seeing you. You didn't even have to fucking do anything.
Right.
Because I already think this is what you're going to be. Right. So really learning to sit with that. Learning to sit with how do I become in control of the way that I respond. This was really big for me because anger was really big for me. And I feel like that's what opened the door, was like the desire to not respond in anger, the desire to not be a version of myself that I was working on. And that taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about owning what was mine and realizing how I felt, really realizing that holding people responsible for how I felt when they didn't even know how I felt was absolutely fucking ridiculous. Like a lot of things that have come to my own awareness about myself, I've had that thought, you are fucking crazy, dude. Who the fuck, if somebody told you some shit like that, you'd be like, that motherfucker, no, that ain't right. But it's okay because it's from you. You were just holding that in, like, what the fuck, man? But yeah, so I don't know.
Well, where this in my mind goes next, and what I've seen you, I think, pretty skillfully navigate, is how this comes up when we get into community, which is where I'd like to start kind of moving this conversation in the direction of community. And we've seen in Sanctuary, it is challenging. We're in a community of people who are all seeking healing. Coming with really diverse histories, diverse personalities, diverse expectations,
diverse traumas.
Oh, yeah. And I'm just kind of curious how you observe this kind of dynamic of triggers in community outside of you. If you separate yourself back and you just watch community and you see how triggers bounce and people get triggered and people do, and like.
So I think I'm learning that if you can become the observer, truly become the observer, truly get past the idea of judgment and watch it, like it's got more drama than a TV show. Any community that you're in, not just the spirit, but any community. Like, so it's amazing to me, like speaking about the triggers, speaking about my own triggers, watching other people get triggered, watching the responses to the triggers. Well, let's just talk about a healing community. We can talk about Sanctuary, or we can just talk about, the healing communities. Conversations that I've had with other people from what I've gathered from other things is that, we've talked about this. There's a lot of toxicity in the healing community, and it's only misplaced trauma and the inability to not intentional inability always, but sometimes it's just not where people are yet.
Mm-hmm.
And some people, sometimes people are at a place in their trauma and in their healing to where they're triggering other people in the community, and you get to see within the community the people who are doing their own work. Honestly, it is the most fucking amazing thing.
It's true.
And so I, even though it's like, oh man, sometimes this feels fucking icky at the same time. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
there's growth here. It's
Mm-hmm.
happening. Growth doesn't feel fucking comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And being in community, there's people that will run. There's people that will stand up and fight back. There's people that will go with the flow. And like I said, the people that stick around, the people that are willing to work through the dynamic of the community that we're trying to build, or that whatever the community is, that whatever that dynamic of that community is,
Mm-hmm.
I think it goes back to the idea of people are at different places.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes within our community, within Sanctuary, I feel like people are not at the right place for the Sanctuary community yet.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean they're not right for the Sanctuary community. It just means where they are in their journey, the things that they have going on, they may not be in alignment
Mm-hmm.
with everything Sanctuary has going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of people come into Sanctuary, especially with the idea of some of the things being in alignment. And then when not everything falls into what their expectations are,
Mm-hmm.
right? It creates a kickback. It creates a trigger for them. And this is where I see people in our community, whether they respond with love. And, we have a good understanding of saying that we love each other, but it really shines through.
Mm-hmm.
It really shines through in the moments. And these are the moments of growth. These are moments that the community needs. These things, there are things that need to happen so that people can move through and have better understanding, so that we can learn and move forward as a community. And as these things happen, I think that the people that are growing are the people who are really becoming foundations in the community,
Mm-hmm.
to help build more community.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so,
really illustrating the the benefits of sticking it out. Like, we seldom, if ever, grow when we run. And it's a lot like running from one romantic partner to the next. You're with somebody for 3 years, all of a sudden their deeper self starts to reveal, oh my gosh, this person's who I thought, I'll go find some else, when actually, like, it's just your perception of that person, like
right.
your projection onto that person. And if we were to, obviously there's abusive communities, there's abusive
Right.
relationships, those
Right.
are extremes we're not talking about. But when you have a relationship or a community that you can see that the majority of the individuals are willing to have difficult conversations, show up in love through challenge, then that's an indicator that there is some payoff in sticking it through and working it out. And I love how you just acknowledge that. That's like, I don't want to say this, like, we go into most new endeavors, most of us go into with pretty rose-colored glasses, right? Like, if it's a new job, oh, I got a new job, I'm so excited, I got a new community, I got a new relationship. But what you said about, like, getting to see who's putting in the work, that feels so important as we, over years at times, really try to establish who are our people, because, like, it's of little practical benefit to have a community that supports each other or any relationship where the support is conditional.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, oh, I see who you voted for. Now we're not friends. Or,
Right.
oh, you like them, so we can't like you. All that stuff. Because it's showing up when it's tough. It's showing up for the duration that really makes community. And I feel like our culture, the individualism that has been so, I want to say, force-fed into us as Americans in particular, is in large part contributed to this idealistic version of community. Oh, I go in, it's not exactly like I thought it was, so it's not the place for me. I'm going to get out. And man, we just stand to lose so much potential for growth and progress and helping other people grow. Like seeing you like take space when you need to, come back in, work on yourself, like has inspired me, and I know so many other people around so much. So like the power of community in our daily lives is, I think we're beginning to realize that again. Go ahead.
So I just before we get too far past
Yeah.
what you were just saying, because something that was like as you were saying that, so the idea is that we come into this community, and then the majority of people, or a lot of people, and I'll just go with myself as an example. When I came into this community, I was a little awkward. I didn't know what to feel, and then I came in and I started to tell people, "I love you. I love you. I love this. I love you. I love this." And then I was triggered. So it really lets you evaluate. Only, and I don't want to take up too much space from what you.
No, you're fine.
But it really, the reason that I'm here is because I love you. Because I told you, I didn't come into this with the idea of my love being conditional.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? You didn't have to do anything or be anything. It's okay for you to not be where I think that you should be today, because that's just a story I'm telling myself. It's okay for you, because that's not love. If you're not where I want you to be, and I don't like it, then that's not love. That's fucking ego. And I don't think love has conditions at all. I think that we misspeak that so fucking like, well, there's love and then there's unconditional. No, bro, this is bullshit. All love is true. Love is unconditional, and that means that I am willing to walk through this. I'm willing to sort through, to watch, help, be there for your growth. I'm willing to accept you as this is where you are today. And if this is where you are and you're hurting me today, then I might need to put up a boundary. I might need to put that up today. But it doesn't mean that I leave this on. This isn't a fucking Band-Aid. Now I have to work on myself because you did something that it triggered me. This gets back into the conversation about the triggers, right? So for me to think that, oh, you're just doing that. You're just doing that. Fuck you. You can't be around me right now because when you stop doing that, it'll be okay.
Right.
Oh, yeah? What happens when the next person does that? Was it him or was it just that? What was it? Because if I never sit with that, then I'm not healing. You're only showing me the things that I need to heal inside of me. I'm just not paying enough attention to what, because there's so many people showing me how fucked up I am. But realistically, and that's what I love about the community. It's like I'm seeing so many things that it's not that I'm frustrated with you. It's that I'm frustrated with me. These are really things inside of me that I haven't fucking sat with, that I haven't dealt with. And I mean,
can you imagine the shift that would occur if even 50% of the population was able to take that level of responsibility for our daily experience?
It would be amazing.
It's powerful. No, I've never, it's so beautifully said. Like it's either love or it's not. It's not unconditional love. Do you love or not?
Right. Love doesn't have conditions,
Yeah.
which goes into the idea of creator and the idea of God and the idea of the God from the Christian Bible telling me that you have fucking conditions. You love me, but you have fucking conditions. No way. That's not what love is, or at least that's my interpretation.
No, man, that just really hit me. That really hit.
So yeah, you were moving over into the conversation from.
Yeah,
But
yeah. That's
sorry.
just so that's just so high impact. It's okay. It's perfect. So what I was beginning to think towards is community within the psychedelic experience.
Hmm.
And you said something earlier about your therapist and how you moved from doing like the EDMR and all the stuff to just talking about your experiences. And I guess don't want to trigger anybody.
No, you're good.
It's not you, but I'm thinking about like there is this, like, psychedelics are not going to negate the need for therapists.
Mm-hmm.
They may shift the role that therapists play in the relationship to their clients. And I also wonder how that role of a therapist, how that might shift when we see community taking on some of the roles of the therapist, right? So in psychedelic world, there is very much the premise that you need to take psychedelics under the auspices of a trained psychedelic therapist, and that trained psychedelic therapist needs to help you prepare and integrate your experiences. And I'm not saying that that's wrong at all, but I'm quite confident that that's not the only way. And so how do you see communities like Psanctuary, what role do you see those communities playing that are maybe have some crossover with therapists, and how do you see that shifting the role that the therapist will play? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So I think therapy really came from tribal living, right? Like, the group was the therapy. That's where the mushroom brings us back closer to that primitive feeling of that space with community, right? That tribal feeling. So what we don't have present in our everyday life is that community. You don't have a community of 25 people that'll sit down and listen to you. Not try to fix you, not you don't have that. So the introduction of our community into something like a therapeutic setting would be absolutely amazing. I don't think that some therapists understand what type of what am I looking for? I don't think they understand the capacity that the group dynamic has to help with the healing process. To have 5 people out of 20 or 25 that tell me that they can relate to me, that they understand where I'm coming from, to have another 5 or 6 people who maybe not relate, but they have something to share that is, like I said, is not trying to help me, but it's just something that is of their own experience. This has happened for them. It's something that they've been through. To be able to feel that and to feel open enough to speak, instead of, oh, it's just me and you in this room and it's quiet and now I've got my thought process running. And being in that group dynamic changes that thought process. You might walk into it with that, but if you really engage in the group, all that goes away. You become so engaged with what's going on, with what's around you, that you're a part of it. And feeling that part of it makes a huge difference. And I think opening that part of therapy up would open new doors. I think that finding that a therapist may not be required to lead you down the path with questions or move you into a frame of mind for what may come up from you, as much as I feel like psychedelics, mushrooms especially, that these are the things that have come up for me. Now I can bring them and come and talk about them. And these are the things that, because I feel like when you are consciously working on, and that means it is part of my thought process during my day-to-day activity of how do I become a better person? How am I working on myself? How do I deal with my trauma? When you're asking yourself these questions, you take things more seriously in that group or in therapy, because this is something that's on my mind. This is something that I'm apparently thinking about. So bringing that whole logic into that group idea, I think it just opens up so many more windows of opportunity to tap into. I think seeing that, like I said, the therapist might not be so directive as more as space holding and working more with integration instead of don't let me, or not, I'm not saying that this is the way therapists think, but I'm just saying in my idea, if I was coming at you and I'm saying I'm a therapist, then what I'm doing is going to get you to that. What I am trying to do through my method is going to get you there. This method is going to get you there. I'm just here to reflect. I'm just here to, and then I'm here. And what a difference that would make, because as I talk to a therapist, I'm always wondering what they're thinking about me or what this is that. If I was just telling you a story about this was my experience, this is what came up for me, I'm so focused on my own experience that I'm not wrapping myself in my mind around so much what you think about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's more
So
passive role, it sounds like you're saying.
So yeah, I think that I would see and I think the thing that was very beneficial for me was my ability to bounce around. So in therapy, I noticed a very laid out plan. We're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to work on this, we're going to work on that, we're going to do this in these sessions, we're going to plan this out. Everything has a method or a way. And with psychedelics, it's just as it comes up. It's these are what's real for me now. These are what, and sometimes we may need to be talking about something important during this 2 hours that we're having this session, and this is the time that we had to talk about this event for PTSD, but I may have something going on in my life right now. I may have, and in this therapy session, it's more like clients, right? So I think breaking it away from that, bringing it into that group dynamic would open up more, not only more opportunity. I think you bring that group dynamic multiple times. Does that make sense? Versus instead of having 10 sessions a day, every day, you could have 3 meetings a week and cover all the people in one group.
And more effective.
And be more effective. Yeah. And then people don't have, if they have something going on. So like I said, if I show up on the day that I have therapy, but I have a lot of life going on, man, I'm not really going to get into this the way that I need to. But if I were to have more opportunities to show up to get into this, and it not be so structured, does that make sense?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think that would be highly beneficial as well.
I guess I'm curious, where, if at all, have you found that a spiritual community is able to respond to questions and experiences that therapists aren't able to? You've shared some like pretty profound experiences with me that were deeply spiritual, mystical in nature, and I'm just curious, like, does relating those experiences to your therapist have the same impact or the same effect as relating those experiences to a spiritual community?
No, I think I felt more worried about being judged. I was very open, but it was because I forced myself to be open. I would read the things that I wrote down word for word. I would not hesitate. Okay. I would make sure, if that makes sense. But I felt like if I was just talking, that I would find myself Should I say that?
Mm.
Should I not say
Mm-hmm.
that? You know, so I found writing it down and reading what I'd written to be more honest, more truthful of my experience. Honestly, I think I find the community to be the most healing therapy. I wouldn't recommend it as your only form of therapy, but I get more out. Like I said, there's more engagement. There's more opportunity for different perceptions and ideas. And in therapy, I feel like I'm being told what to do, or I feel like this, like my therapist now. I'm gonna have to change my therapist now, but the dynamic there is more of like, well, this is what's going on, or this is what we were talking about, and then, well, this is what I want you to do to try to work on it. And I'm like, I'm not. I'm past the part where I think that you're here to fix me, and that's okay, but we wasted the 20 minutes that you were talking to me, telling me about all the things that you think, when really I'm trying to dive deeper into this to get to a point. And in the group dynamic, I could definitely have gotten to that point. Like in my last session, it was just, and once again, that idea of you're here to try to fix me, when no, I'm working on this myself. I just needed a space. I just needed, and that's where I feel like we were talking before about that tribe, the community, right? When the community was the therapist, when it was a combination of 15 to 20, like women had groups of women, men had men around the fire, communities had, you had, whether they were uncles or friends or whatever, you know what I mean? These people were entrusted. They taught you life lessons, and we just don't get that. We get taught from two parents sometimes. Most of our stuff comes from teachers or outside of the home, that we don't truly understand consequences or the real perception of what's going on. We only, so we let that create our image and what we are. So, yeah.
Well, also too, what I've seen in your as an observer of your experience and others, it seems pretty apparent, is that in community, when we show up and we get the opportunity to support others, then that contributes to our healing as well.
Yes, I agree with that.
So that component feels worth noting, which I think is a nice bridge into the ministership. Like I said before we sat down, this episode will be sitting within the context of the origin story of Psanctuary. And I very much consider you part of the origin story of the minister program or the seminary. You were part of the very first cohort that we had. It has evolved, I think, in good ways. And you have been just not only such a powerful contribution to the seminary and the conversations that we have there, but as I've shared with you numerous times, like, you are really embodying the vision that it's not even that I had. I feel like that was given to me, right? Around this ministership, particularly the friends and family ministership. And I'd just love if you could just kind of just talk about, as honest as you want, the challenges, the ups, downs, all of it, of what it has been like stepping into this. Gotta be a unique, like, would you ever have considered the possibility that you might be a psilocybin, a sacred mushroom minister?
No, I never thought that.
And yet you are like the best example of that within Psanctuary, honestly, Jeff.
Well, I think that I recognized immediately in using the sacrament, how healing this was. And I was just really drawn. How do I bring this to other people? At first, it was how do I bring this to other veterans?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the intrigue. That was like the what do I need to do to be able to help? You know, like I know guys that are in therapy. They've got the right things set up. They're just not using mushrooms. You know, and then I was under the impression of this is the key. This is the answer. Like my spirituality was evolving, right? And I knew that it wasn't just the mushrooms, but at the same time, I was like, if you could just get this, this would just help you so much, you know? And I had some friends that were really struggling. I had a guy that he was in Texas, and he called me the day after that he went to some park and was sitting on a bench and put a gun in his mouth and was getting ready to pull the trigger, and some lady and dude and kids walked around the corner. So he, you know, and so it really just pushed me. I was taking the Myself course, and I was working on trying to create something, but didn't know what. You know, I wanted to do something. Sanctuary in you helped with, creating veterans healing with psilocybin. But that still wasn't quite. It was what there was a big pull towards that, but it wasn't quite what my intentions were. I just didn't know exactly what my intentions were. So going through the friends and family course, that's where it really started to click that this is, so I want to hold space. I want to try to bring this to others. I want to be as good as I can at it. Right. And it was just a drive, just let's do this. When I started holding space for people, that was when it really got real. That's when it started to get like true, and I started to find this truth behind it that wasn't just I want to hold space for people. It was I'm supposed to be doing this. And what I went from the idea of I was desiring to want was, like I said, it was this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Like I started to notice in my own journey my growth through holding space for others. I started to notice working with other people through their own integration improved my integrating capabilities within myself. All this time that I wanted to bring this to other people, it was also something that I was doing for my own practice, for my own self. At first, it was ego. Not that I want to do this, but ego thinking that this is why I want to do this.
Okay.
Right? Then it was truly understanding from a spirit perspective of you're supposed to be doing this, right? Really getting into cultivation, really understanding the Creator has allowed me to touch this along its process of where it's going to go. Feeling like a steward of the mushroom. It all started to connect in different ways. It started to complete a piece of me. Not that I was missing, but this that I didn't know was there. Like it was already there. It just wasn't awakened, right? So it started to build this, and this understanding of I'm supposed to cultivate, I'm supposed to be holding space. It's not about the experience. It's about the days after. It's about who we become and how we walk through the world after our experiences. How do we integrate? So it created, I saw voids, and it created a creative spark in me to make things. So I felt like I was filling my purpose. I felt like I was living part of, in alignment with my design, like what I felt like. And that created different feeling in me from the way that I have been living. A truth, a peace, a difference in, understanding that we're not just holding space in the mushroom space. We're holding space all the time. And how negligent we are of recognizing that and not understanding what people need and how they need it. And it just grew into this desire to continue to help, to continue to be there for other people, to get involved in their growth, get involved in who people really are. And instead of seeing people in this superficial way, but really become involved with them. So becoming that friends and family minister opened the door for me to share what I feel like is a gift, to hold space for other people, to be that of what someone else was for me, for this to open up inside of me. And then, like I said, there's still so much of my own journey that is involved in holding space. The healing part of it, the processing part, all of it, it's all involved. And it's not so much, I don't think it's like, oh, this is something I do. This is just who I am.
Yes.
It doesn't have anything to do with the things that I choose to do. And now I'm living more in alignment with that version of who I truly am. And it makes a difference in my life. It holding space for other people, being in those integrations, being just with those other people later in life, seeing the differences, watching the changes. You and I both know people that we've been around that, man, in the last couple of years, holy shit, there's been a lot of things that have changed for them with their journey with mushrooms, their processing, their integration, how they've moved it into their life, and how things are doing. And it just is so inspiring, and it's so it keeps me so connected to what we're doing and to the importance of it. So yeah, 5 years ago I couldn't imagine that this is something that I would ever do, and now I couldn't imagine not. Sometimes I find myself being too vulnerable in that, because of someone that's in need, or because of someone, a good for instance is I had someone call me 2 days ago, and they're like, man, I got somebody that's in crisis and I need them. And then I'm like, man, I'm not liking the energy I'm feeling off of this, I'm willing to have a conversation, but it was really interesting that I was able to speak, your vibe and energy is this, and this is an unknown. I really need to be comfortable with this. I can't, and then finding comfort in it, within 48 hours. And then when I found comfort in it and was ready and said, okay, well, now we're at a place where let's have a conversation. Let's look at what we can do. This whole thing had fizzled out and was nothing anymore. But I was still, even though I knew I had to take care of the things that I had to take care of to be able to hold this space, I still felt called to hold that space. I still felt the universe has brought this to me for a reason. The Creator has introduced this to me for a purpose. And, for a long time I was ignoring, not ignoring, like, for most of my life, I've just done all the things that I thought were, these are the things that I need to do. I've never really questioned what's my purpose? What am I here for? And this is one of the things this is a function that I have here. This is one of the purposes that I know that I have, is to hold space for other people and to help them work through, and learn to, I think it's about helping people who don't know how to process, and learning through our experiences in the mushroom space and how we carry over that processing into life. Because if we can process our experiences and understand how we're getting to an idea of processing our experiences, then I can take this over and carry this over and integrate this into, how do I process this trauma? How do I process these things that are going on in my life? And you may get something from the experience that just transfers over, like, bam, oh, I need to change this. I need to do this. This is wrong. Let's fix this part of my life. And then you may get something that I have to process for 6 months to realize that, oh, the purpose, damn, this is like a metaphor. This is like a, but I still had to process it all that way to realize how to apply it properly in my life. So I think, I don't know, I don't want to get rambling, but this was about the friends and family minister. So, and that's evolved. That's evolved so much in to where I held space. So let's see some of the difficulties. Some of the when I first started, I really, like I said, I had that desire to help other people. There was a lot of ego involved. I wasn't feeling like I was acting out of ego. But there was just a lot of personal desire that was coming from ego. And that was, well, if I don't get experience, then I'm not going to be any good at this. And I don't, so first learning how to hold space, and then putting myself into more ceremonies than what I was able to spiritually and energetically recover from. Never any physical problems, really, just more energetically and spiritually, not processing my own experience, but all of these were very important mistakes for me to make. All of these were so important to happen so that I could learn to be in the place where I am now. And I'm still going to make mistakes and learn things that are going to put me into a different place, moving forward. I don't think, as a space holder, I don't think that ever stops. No. I don't think, I think if you think you're not growing, then you're not doing it right.
Yeah, No, I put a post on LinkedIn the other day that said we should be proud of the mistakes that we learn from.
Right.
Like, we have a tendency to look back at them, I feel like shit about that mistake, but like, if you learn from it and you're a better human, like, that mistake was a teacher. Love that.
So part of the human design things that there's some human design that you're specifically here to fail and learn. And it specifically says it, just like fail and learn.
Really?
Not just to fail and learn, to move. Like, if I don't fail, I can't learn, right? Or some people, they won't. So like, that only makes sense. But yet we are taught a completely different perception of failure and what it means and how it feels. And yeah. I really think that the majority of what we do in the mushroom space is spent deprogramming a lot of those, things about ourselves, about those beliefs. It's so critical that, and I'm so glad in my own experience that these were revealed to me, that I was able, and I can only imagine the things that, it's amazing to me that I don't know now the things that I will know next year. And it's like, holy shit, man.
It's all there just waiting to be revealed too.
Right.
It's not like you're going to get something new. It's there waiting for you to remember.
And some of it I can want as much as I can go like, man, show me the right book.
Right.
And you just have to be like, bro, you can't read it.
Yeah. No, it's
you're just going to have to live it. I don't know when it's going to come. It might be 32 days from now. It might be 140 days from now. But it's going to happen, and you're going to learn something incredible, and it's going to change the way you it's going to just add another brick, another block, another piece of the building of your perception of the way that, it's so amazing.
And even that phenomenon that you're talking about, observing that has changed the way that I understand how things work, right? Because if there is an event that is 6 months in my future where all these just like minuscule, subtle little components have to come together for me to get to that point where I have that realization, I have to start wondering does this thing work in reverse? Like, we have this idea like we're going that way, but maybe it's pulling us. Maybe the known future. There's so many ways to think about it, to sit with it. And yeah, what you said about how helping others, observing others' experiences, sitting in that space provides us a wider lens on our own experience and helps us become wholer people. It's so apparent that, to me anyway, that the I want to say the functionality, like we have this idea that we're taking the mushrooms and the mushrooms are catalyzing an experience, and that is a perspective. But perhaps there is a deeper reality that's at work, that is catalyzing us towards the mushrooms or towards these experiences, again with this understanding of what we need in order to get to where we're going. I don't know. It's all a big mystery, and we just kind of continue to explore it. And that's one of the things that I love so much about our conversations, is that we know we don't know, and we just continue to explore this. I'm curious about within your role as a minister, kind of how do you find yourself helping people come to terms with these experiences that they have no previous context for?
Individually, I find it difficult. Individually, I find that so doing an individual integration, you can invite people to research. You can, I don't want to influence the information that you're getting, but I want to invite you to be, to see what comes to you naturally, to see, like reading things about the way that you're feeling. Do these things does that resonate with you? Things like that. And have a light conversation around things like that, but don't want to be very influential.
Leading. Yeah.
Right, not at all. But more of intriguing you to be explorative about it. I love a group dynamic for this. A group dynamic for this is amazing because you get different perceptions from different people. More than likely, when you bring it up and you feel like, I don't know if I'm fucking going crazy, or I don't know if this, people are going like, man, here, this is my experience with that, or this is, something that I felt, or this, and that leads with a completely different understanding. I can find that the group dynamics, sometimes you can find people in the group being leading. So I've had to find interesting ways to interrupt them in the middle, just something, or a way to, just because we don't want, I want the group to be a mirror as well. And sometimes they get wrapped in their own experience, so that's one of the big things. I think it's important to have that, it's a prerequisite going in. So we talk about it a little bit, at the beginning, that, hey, we're not here to tell anybody that this is the way you should go. This is just a way that I've experienced, that this is something that's happened for me. But yeah, individually though, I find it a little more complicated. But I still just like to, let's say it's being really complicated, and I really want to dive more into whatever you're speaking that comes up for you. And so if I want to ask inquisitive questions, I want to ask something that's going to make you inquisitive about the way that you think that you're feeling, or the way that you may think that you're thinking about it. And I'm not only suggesting, I don't want to suggest what, but I want to suggest that maybe you're thinking the way you're thinking is, something along those lines that just intrigues you to dig a little deeper. And once people start to dig a little bit deeper, I feel like they start to provide a little bit more context to work with. So if they're having an experience and like, let's say they're experiencing energy for the first time, well, I have a pretty good background in that, so I can talk about it. But if you're experiencing something like, I mean, I've had quite a few experiences, but let's say that something that I'm not understanding, divine feminine light, something, like something that's just that I'm not experienced, that you're writing in light language, you're speaking in, like something that's, so what I would do in that situation is I would just try to explore it with you, so the more that I can dig out, then the more I have to explore with you on that, so that you can tell me more about it. So you are going through your experience, not me going through your experience. And that would be leading you, in my idea, of down a farther road of exploration of why you're feeling that way. Because I think that's something, especially in the mushroom space, energetically or spiritually, being opened up to something. I told you one of my, my palm chakras being blown open, that understanding of what that was, knowing what was happening, feeling it. I can only imagine 2 years ago if that would have happened. I'd be like, oh, my fucking arm's been burning for fucking 2 days after I ate mushrooms. I'm going to the doctor. I don't know what the fuck, or I'm never eating mushrooms again. This was fucking weird, But such a different, and I find that interesting. Well, at least for myself, in my own understanding, the mushrooms have always given it to me in doses that I could take it, and building upon each other so that my understanding is not confused. There have been times where I got some things before, but it was like there were things in there that needed to be processed and thought about, because without those things, without this other experience, I would have never put the two of them together.
There's some intelligence that's out there looking back on things.
Most definitely. Yeah. And I've found that, with some people that I'm pretty close to, that that I've been on this journey about the same time they've had a lot of life changes, and there's a few people that, and I think that as this has progressed, it's a little similar with them on, I'm not working through as much trauma in my experiences anymore. And the understanding that I came out of my last few experience, well, really about 4 or 5 ago, was that, because I was like, man, like, am I not doing something where do I need to meditate more? Am I whatever? But it was like, you're doing this on a day-to-day basis. You've brought this over into your life. We are now exploring other things.
Yeah.
And it's like, so I think there's levels, there's phases, there's, when you get to a place in your life where you're like, oh, I'm sorting out my life and these things are going good. Now you can elevate to a different place of energetic experience and maybe even farther spiritual experience. And, so I'm on that ride. So that's just the way mine's going.
I love the intelligence of the process itself. It just pushes us a little bit beyond what we're comfortable for, and then we play a little catch up. So how do you envision the ministership evolving? Like, where do you see this going?
It's funny. I think I just answered this question for the board member.
Oh yeah, that's right. You filled out that monstrous application.
Man, I was gonna say that too. I was like, man, that thing's like 8 pages, bro. I sat down to do that quickly, and I was like, no, this ain't gonna happen fast. But anyway, to answer this question, we'll talk about that later.
I won't comment.
I almost messaged you last night. Was like, bro, this thing took forever. Like, I didn't go to bed till like 10. I think I like said some stuff on Mighty like right before I went to bed. That's how long I was working on that application last night, because I forgot about it. Anyway. That was my fault, because I forgot about it. I saw it in my email, and I was like, I need to do that now.
Well, thank you for that.
So the ministership programs, like the seminary, the idea. So I really see, I see us needing a space. You and I have talked about that. But the idea that not only we have a home base, but we have a home base for training, and we can bring in ministers who have been through the course, We could do, when I say ministers been through the course, ministers who have been through the course who don't have a comfort level to be able to do what they want to do, so we can come and we can work with them. This allows us the opportunity to invite people into our community, into these things, people throughout Sanctuary who, and people are gaining experience while they're also learning what they're doing. Other people are getting to partake in sacrament. I think it just really, it brings it full circle. It brings it where the community has a space to go. It means we have a place to have operations. But the seminary, I think that I love the idea of a community ministership program. My idea of what that looks like is almost like deacons in our community. So groups of people in our community who want to do things for our community, for the existing community that we have, whether that be organize for so things that our deacons could do, or whatever we chose to call them, would be like, you may not be a friends and family minister, but you can organize a retreat in your location, and you can contact some friends and family ministers and bring them in, and we can do that. So we're not just limited to the locations of where the friends and family ministers live. It's not just us getting together. Now we can go to places in our community. They can help us to create space for other members. They can help us. They can also help by helping to do things for our community, like some of the new things, the groups that are popping up and coming up. But I feel like it's like, as a deacon is where you're like some of us that are applying for the board, and to do that right, like, this is how I show up for my community, give back to my community, and in a productive and positive way. So I think that's what I see moving forward as like a community minister. But I think there's criteria for that. You know what I mean? I think there's opportunity for a ministership for that, to create that. And it's not just limited to the things these are just the things that are coming up right now. I think that we could definitely add on to that and have some good conversations about what to put into that program. I would love to see some, I'd really love to see some cultivation again.
I was thinking about last night.
Really, so was I. It was really on my mind last night.
Yeah, that relationship conversation.
Yeah, and so I even thought, I mean, you can edit this out or whatever, but I was like, what would it take for me to start a LLC for mushroom cultivation, and I just do it on a Zoom call, and then it's not Sanctuary, but people can come over and get it, right? Like, and when I say an LLC, I would go with my idea of providing everything. So I'm teaching the class from one point of view. Here's the tubs, here's the substrate, here's everything that you need. This is where you get it from. Because if you deviate, it's not going to be part of the class. It's not going to be part of the program. And taking the class that way, and that would allow a little bit of compensation for my time and pay for materials. And it's something that I love to do. And then it's not on Sanctuary. And then could I get in trouble if that's what I was really looking at. I'd have to evaluate, well, if I'm just showing you how to grow and we're not doing anything live that's right there, like I don't have mycelium in the, I can show pictures all day, but as long as we're not live showing mycelium, live showing real mushrooms, and I'm showing you how to do it, we're having conversation about it, and I don't see any legal, especially if it's only conversation, like.
Yeah, for sure. It's just a matter of having the time and all that stuff for it. It takes a lot of time, and especially if you start shipping stuff out, and we've kind of
that's why I was saying an LLC, because I can't justify spending that much time without getting some sort of compensation for it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so. And that would have to be evaluated. What does that look like? What is that? But it was just like, man.
Yeah, I felt it last night too.
Like right now, I could see, at least for our community, just, and this wouldn't require an LLC. This is just my time. But to just start a Zoom maybe once every 2 weeks about cultivation, just if you want to, like, maybe I could offer that. I don't know if I could offer that through Sanctuary or just tell that to the people that are in the course. Hey, if you want, you can give me.
I mean, even through Sanctuary, if you wanted to do a course where you were compensated for materials and all that, like that could be done within Sanctuary, if that's something that you wanted to explore. Setting up an LLC, what I imagine being the headache for that is that you're basically going to be having to monitor everything to write off all of your expenses.
Right. Well,
so that
it wasn't something that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Was create the LLC. I was just looking at how do I get compensated for my time without
Mm-hmm.
it being,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying?
No, I mean,
like,
well, in Sanctuary, we do have
you just send Jeff
contract
some money
employees.
and he'll be you know, and then it don't show up one day and they're like, hey man, this motherfucker. Like, bro,
Well, that's where things get challenging. Is that it's. But anyway, that's definitely something to explore again. My hope, like that's what part of my vision for the ministry is that, is particularly when we have that space, that home base, that we could do some really amazing on-site cultivation stuff. I mean, I hope somehow Sanctuary gets into cultivating edible and gourmet mushrooms. Like that's. Me personally, that's a huge part of my mission and desire is to see those mushrooms more accessible, So anybody's out there interested in donating some large sums of money to Sanctuary, we could use a few million and we would do some amazing stuff with a few million. I mean, Jeff, you've already seen, like, I guess I'm like, I don't want this to come across like stroking the ego in any way, but, like it would be meaningful to hear some of the growth that you've witnessed within Sanctuary. It's like what you were saying about witnessing other people's growth. Like we've seen people who have been on this journey for several years, and it's so much easier to, as an outside observer, to see the growth in an individual than it is for that individual who's in their own echo chamber to see their growth. And I am curious, like what you've seen in terms of growth within the organization of Sanctuary. And feel free to, speak to areas of improvement that you've see me still need to grow in, or that you have seen. Speak honestly.
Well, I think I know that the biggest thing that I have seen, the biggest change that I've seen in Sanctuary in 3 years is that the organization that I joined was a healing community dabbling in spirituality. And what I have noticed, what I have witnessed is Sanctuary has grown from a community that was dabbling into a spiritual community. I have noticed things that I observed come in was that from a leadership perspective down, there was a created spiritual community, but there wasn't a spiritual practice. And it wasn't flowing into the community the way that I see that now. And I appreciate that change more than anything. It is something that means the world to me. It has made the biggest difference in the things that I have seen in the conflict in the community, the responses, all of the thing that made the biggest difference for me was the impact of this becoming a more spiritual community, and how has this affected the leadership of this community, the quality of the circles of this community, just the depth of the community is different.
That's so
There's
interesting.
not as many people sometimes, but the depth is much,
I
much
never
different.
would have thought that. So this is a perfect example.
And I didn't feel the spirituality coming the same way as what I do now. I didn't feel the growth, not only from the community but from the leadership. And that for me was difficult at first. Especially when I was fighting. I don't want to say fighting. When I was taking sides, and I was choosing my community over people who were choosing to leave, over people that I loved, and I was choosing that I chose this for a reason. This was I'm going to stick with it, and not that it, but to see that come through that way in the spiritual growth, it just like puts a smile on my face, man. It's just like, gosh, it was. I knew that this was worth it.
Wow.
So that's probably. I don't think I've ever spoke that to you like that.
No, I've never.
So that is honest to a T. I felt like I wanted it to be. I just had to wait it out and see if that's what it was going to be. And what I find myself in is amazing. It's so much more than just mushroom integration and the occasional, creator and energy conversation. Now it's all about like even our minister classes. We go into them, into some of the things that I can see you kind of ease into, and then it like explodes into, nope, this is what this is going to be about. This is what we're going to talk about. So, and it's all based on, from a spiritual perspective. And it really ties in that concept of belonging to the spiritual community. So that some of the other things I've seen, I like that Psanctuary is constantly trying to improve. I like that we try new things, even though some of them don't work out. But I enjoy that we're trying new things. That it's bringing in new perspectives and possibly bringing in new people. One of my favorite things about this community is the people that it brings in, and that's, I've told you this over and over, is that I have so many people in my life right now that I wouldn't have fucking spoke to 5 years ago. And it's like every time I get on one of these Zooms, I'm meeting new people that it's like, man, Jeremiah, I never would have, like, I'd have looked at Jeremiah and been like, you're a dude, I'm a dude, you stay over there, I stay over here, we're good. You probably got your shit figured out, I got my shit figured out, but to have these in-depth conversations about spirituality, about what love is, about, starting the men's, getting into that, about the forgiveness and about the, like, I want to explore these things with people who are working on being better versions of themselves, who are working on understanding why they feel the way that they feel, who are having real hard, real life situations and scenarios, and watching them integrate these experiences into their life. Like, our community's full of that. So it's grown a lot, like I felt a lot of people in the very beginning of like that idea of like, this is what this is supposed to be, and this is what this is supposed to be, and this is what this is supposed to be, and then when it doesn't meet up to these expectations. And now I feel that a lot of people are more in alignment. Like I said, I think they're, instead of it being people coming in and they're able to more just weed themselves through and say, hey, I belong here or I don't. And so it's all, the whole experience is becoming more comfortable as it evolves.
Well, I suspect that expanding the board, as we're prepping to do, and having you and some of these other folks on there, is going to really improve that dynamic. And it's just, gosh, especially the first 2 or 3 years, it's just like trying to figure out who the fuck you are, And then as we slowly start to figure out who we are, and some of those folks like yourself and hopefully Terry and, people who have been involved for quite a while will come in and help to really solidify that identity so that we even have a better understanding of who we are and what we're trying to bring into this world or evolve into. All right, so you get to be in ceremony with up to 3 people from anytime, anywhere, through history.
So this is the question that stumps me. Like, this is the one where I was like, man. So, this is probably weird, but I don't really have, I think, I tried to think about like, influential people, like, world leaders and things like that. And like, I mean, I'd hold space for any of them, you know what I mean? But like, or being, like, not because I agree or I'm in alignment, but just because I think that any of our world leaders could use some mushrooms, like maybe all of them all at the same time.
There's something amazing. I have had the privilege of like feeding mushrooms to some very powerful people, and that is powerful in and of itself. Just like feeling that energy, because you don't get to be a world leader if you don't have some hella energy. And so to be in that presence as it opens up, not that I've had any world leaders, but
And I hope this doesn't come off like sacrilegious, or I mean, I don't really care, honestly, but at the same time, not to offend anyone. But I'd eat mushrooms with Jesus, bro.
Oh yeah,
in a fucking heartbeat, like, bro. Yeah, let's talk. Let's have a conversation. Let's process when we're done. Let's fucking do this, bro. But yeah, I was thinking, I just couldn't really pinpoint anyone in particular, like, that it was just like, oh, I think that this would be I think I look at
who I'd like to eat I think you'd get this, Mike Tyson.
Oh man, as long as you don't make him mad.
Yeah, don't piss him off.
Like, man, I've seen him get pretty mad in some of these like little videos. He flips real quick, and I'll be like, no.
Did you see that video of him at it was like Wimbledon or some tennis match? Dude, he was tripping balls in the stands. He's sitting in the stands. He's like talking to himself. He's just like shaking his head and talking to himself and clapping. I was like, oh man,
I saw where he was on one podcast, man. And they were talking to him about mushrooms, and he was like, oh yeah,
I'll eat mushrooms right now.
And they handed him a bag, and he's just like, and they're like, you're not even gonna weigh him. He's like, why do I need to weigh him?
Yeah.
Just that whole but. Oh,
what?
I eat these for breakfast.
I gotta ask this now that we're talking about it. Is that this balance of sacred and playful?
Oh yeah.
Like, I suspect Mike Tyson thinks of mushrooms as I've heard him speak of them in a sacred manner, and yet he'll also just like eat a fistful of mushrooms on a podcast or at a tennis match, and like, I'm curious how you relate to those two aspects of this.
Why would my spirit not want to play? Like, really, like so it's only our idea that eating mushrooms are bad, or the concept that eating mushrooms in a specific way are bad. I think I can relate this over really well to like that experience where I was coming out of one of my own journeys, and I was really worried back then about, only a minister can get mushrooms that I cultivate, and only this, and like I was just like, this internal voice was like, who do you think you are to judge or to choose where these get to go? Like, once again, that understanding of I'm a steward. All of the mushrooms that I grew already know where they were going to go. And I have no reason to stop them from moving to where. So if they come asked or sourced or however it is that it comes to me, this is coming to me for a purpose. This is coming to me for I will gladly gift you some mushrooms. I will gladly, you know. And if you're going to go watch a concert with them and you're going to mix them in a way that I think may not be the most spiritual way to do them, who am I to say that that's not going to, you're going to have your spiritual awakening? Who am I to say that that's not how you're going to get what you need from these? Like, this is only my idea, my concept that I think I know what's going on. They came from Creator. That place where I can't fathom what that thought process is, or thinking, you know, I can only understand it from this, which is very one-sided. It's been very programmed to think that that's wrong for me to go. But if that's what your spirit is enjoying in the moment, if that's what your human is enjoying, if you are communing with the Creator through listening to music, through being in a laser show, through whatever, I mean, anything fun that you can think of, is fun not true enjoyment, which would be with the Creator, which is with love anyways? Is that not what, you know? So if that's the way you're doing it, that's the way you're doing it. I mean, I'm not here to judge that. For me, I'm a little more intentional, but I also am not opposed to laughing and spending 5 hours standing in the water, or if that turned into us walking across a field and finding something else to do that had nothing to do with spirituality, but a stick and a tree and a rock or something that we found. I don't care, because I am in communion, and it's like I'm shedding the human version of that communion, and my spirit is more in this walk. So it's all communion, you know. It's like that idea of, well, how do I have to? I don't have to go to a special building and be anywhere to be. Gosh, you know, I realize that God's probably a silly term that somebody else gave you, and I don't even have to call you that. Thank you. What a cool fucking existence this is. What a weird thing emotions are, but I appreciate whatever the fuck I'm, you know, and just to be that way and to live that way. I think it's how does it matter how you get there?
Yeah. It's beautifully said. Yeah. It's there's nuance there that I'm tempted to elaborate on. I'm not going to, and maybe your response to this question might feed into that, and that is, I'd love it if you could give just maybe a piece of advice to both someone who is consuming sacred mushrooms themselves, maybe first time or very early in their relationship with the mushroom, and like also understanding here that like we're not here to really advise anyone. We're just like, you know, this is experience that I would pass on for someone who is both sitting in ceremony themselves, receiving sacrament, and someone who is holding space.
Someone who is taking sacrament for the first time?
Yeah, say first or early. Maybe this is their first sacred experience even.
The first thing that comes to mind is to work on shedding your ego. But that's instructional. So the advice that I have for someone who is starting or is in their beginning of their journey is to trust the process and to allow yourself to find the most comfortable, easy way for you to feel in a space to let go. And it may take time to find that place. You may have a sitter who's not the right sitter. You may have a setting that's not the right setting. But when you find what works for you, continue to use that. And you'll know it when you find it. You'll know it. And my advice for anyone sitting, whether first time or any sitter, is to trust your intuition. be on your own healing path.
Mm-hmm.
Be working your own journey. That's the most important. That for me. Yeah. Not to help you be productive, not to help you do a better job, but for your own self-care and for your ability to help others integrate. Be on your own path. Be on your own journey.
Yeah, that's really important. I can't thank you enough, man. Not just for sitting here, but just for everything that you bring to our community and that you brought into my life personally.
Well, thank you for being you, for having the vision to create Sanctuary and have a reason to have this conversation. But most importantly, just thank you for being you, brother. And from me to you, I want you to know that, like, I truly value our friendship, and the relationship that we are building means so much to me. There are times where I disappear. There are times when I withdraw, and I don't want you to feel like you do anything. And I want you to feel open to come to me when you have those feelings of self-doubt, or that I may be this, or I may not this, or anything. You have an open invitation to ask me. Don't tell yourself a story. Please allow me to help you with whatever story, and I will do the same with you. And I think that will open up a huge path of communication. I think that's something that I'm working on in my life with everyone.
I appreciate that.
But I truly appreciate what I get from you and what I'm able to express and what I'm able to expand upon in my own life and my own thought through our conversation. So
same, man. It's funny you said it though, because over the weekend I was like, I didn't hear from you for like, I don't know. I was like, am I writing a story? I was like, nope. Jeff just needs his time. He's good, man.
This is why I said this to you, because I knew that happened this weekend. Don't ask me how, but I knew. I thought about you, and I was like, he thinks. I bet he thinks that there's something there, because I've just. So something that came up huge for me in my human design is that I withdraw. That I have to withdraw. It's part of my human design to withdraw.
It's part of the two, yeah.
Yep. And then I can't make decisions at a heightened emotional state, whether I'm high or whether I'm low. I can't. If I do that, it's out of my design, and it causes problems every time. So I have to withdraw. I have to pull back. And it's nothing that I can define or explain, right? It's just something my body needs. It's something that I have to go sit and clear with, and I do it. I've done it my whole life, and it's like when I read it on this thing, I'm like, shut the fuck up, bro.
Isn't it wild, man?
I'm like looking around as a motherfucker in here fucking telling people about me or something.
No, it's wild.
But it was really spot on. And like, especially even the projection of like leadership or this or that. I'm like, man, this shit's been happening my whole life. This is what, and yeah, there's just a lot of things that line up. So I think it's really interesting. So go back to your journal and pull up some old experiences, put that into ChatGPT, and then tell it to align it with your human design and tell you about the things that fall in. Like, you can just have it piece things together for you. And it's like I've been learning how to integrate with ChatGPT.
Yeah, you mentioned
like integrate, not my own integrate, but I'm integrating how to conversate with ChatGPT too. And how to work in my own like it gave me a different outlet for processing, right? So here's a way for me to type my story. Here's a way for me to put it all down, and I get to save it. And I have a saved copy of it, not through ChatGPT, but I put it into like my Google Sheets or something, And because I had a notebook, it got soaked, And I was like, damn, there's a lot of shit in that notebook. And I'd rather, so I started keeping it. But anyway, so as I go through and I write these things, then it'll say some things, and then it's like, I'll have some more questions, or I'll ask it to do this, and then I'll do that. And now I'm approaching it from, all right, this is what I want you to do. Then I want you to compare it to this, and then I want you to put this in there, and then I want to see what this is. And man, when it pieces everything together and you put it together, you're like,
wow,
this is a cool story. Did I make this up, or is this fucking real? You know, but it's definitely interesting. But I have found like I did use it to help write some new daily rituals for tree magic and tree communication, sitting with tree spirits, just a lot, just playing with different versions of different, and having it give me all these things. And man, there's just so much that like, it's like I read them and then I just take whatever kind of resonates with me. You know what I mean? If something, or let's take a piece from here and a piece from here and a piece from here, and this is what I'm going to bring into my everyday ritual with this one tree that I'm sitting with every day.
I'm imagining if you were to have several years of journaled experiences that you then compiled and asked to find common threads or consistent themes. That'd be interesting to see what it could pull out that we don't see as tied together, but from that perspective could. We'll see where it all goes. Hopefully, AI stays our friend.
Hey,
It's all good. I'm not worried.
It already knows everything about me. So.
I am not. That is not the thing that I'm spending my time worrying about. That's for sure. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Yeah, brother.
What a pleasure.
Love you, man.
Love you too.